Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Hip Kit Club, and I'm working with the October 2021 kits, which are entirely exclusive Hip Kit products this month. And it's also weekly challenge day, so we have a recipe challenge this week. We must use leaves, buttons and mixed media on our layouts. And as a design team member, I've also got an additional prompt, and that is to use border punches on my page. Not something I do often. In fact, I only own one set of border punches and I've never used them before. So this gave me a good excuse to pull those out from right at the back of the drawer and give them a go, have a play with them. So the first element on the recipe is leaves. I'm wasting no time in getting my leaves on the page. I've pulled out the die cut pack from the embellishment kit and I'm pulling out some leaves in colours that I think will match my photo. So the kind of the browns, the pinks and the little dark blue colours. And I'm just arranging them around my photo in two clusters. I want to go for quite a minimalistic look today. So the majority of my layout is going to be sort of the top right hand corner of the page. It will extend slightly, but I wanted to kind of focus on one small area. And I've been dying to use these chipboard frames from the embellishment kit. I absolutely love these. The outer part is kind of one big frame, and then within those you've got loads of little ones. They're just brilliant. Like it looks at first like you maybe got 10 or 12. Actually there's loads of them in there, so they are going to last forever. And I've been dying to get them on a page, so I'm going to use some today. I'm not too sure where I want to place them at the moment, and they do get moved around a bit. So you saw there I had a little bowl with talcum powder in, and I just apply that to the back and it removes the stickiness. So now they just move around and don't get stuck anywhere. The second element on the recipe was buttons, and we get these gorgeous wood veneer buttons in the embellishment kit this month. Lovely patterns, loads of different colours on them, a few different shapes. I'm using 4 on my layout, so I've got 2 circular ones and 2 smaller heart ones. And once I know where they're going to be placed, sort of for the final composition, I'm going to add some twine through those as well. So I know roughly where things are going to sit in that top corner. I'm going to mark the edges of my photo with a pencil on my background so I know where that's going to sit. And I'm going to add my mixed media. So this is the third element in the recipe challenge. And I'm going to use all the Nuvo products from the October 2021 colour kit. So they're all Nuvo products. This first one is a Nouveau Mica Mist, and the colour is called Pecan Peach. And it's a lovely shimmery pale orange colour. And I've applied that with the packaging technique as opposed to spraying it directly on my page. I'm then coming in with the Nouveau Crystal Drops. These are metallic and the colour is called Auburn Pearl. Now it's a lovely kind of goldy bronze colour. I was going to put some water with it on that packaging there and then apply it with the packaging technique. And then when I put the water with it, it kind of changed colour and went almost like a rosy pink colour, which I was not expecting, but it was really pretty. And I just really taken aback by it, and then I decided to apply that with my brayer instead, just for a bit more texture on the background. You can kind of see the lines where the brayer's been, not enough that it looks out of place, it just gives a subtle bit of texture to my background. And then I've also come in with the third Nuvo product, which is the Nuvo Sparkle Spray, and that is called Lavender Lining, and that is gorgeous. It's a lovely blue, it's kind of it's slightly on the purple side of blue, I guess that's why it's called lavender, but it's got this gorgeous fine silvery glitter in it, and it's just super, super sparkly. So I've just used that to add some splatters on the page, and now I'm using my heat gun to try and dry that off so that I can carry on with my layout. I'm quite impatient, I don't want to sit and let mixed media dry, so I do carry on. I'm coming back in with the Nouveau Crystal Drops, and I'm just squirting it directly onto my layout in several areas, and then I'm using a plastic spatula or palette knife to kind of drag that colour down. And I love doing this with these crystal Nuvo drops because you get the kind of lines where the edge of the spatula or palette knife's been, so it gives a lovely texture. So that's just another way to use your Nuvo drops. I love using them like that, just for a bit more interest on my background, and that one is super shimmery, really, really pretty. Then I'm coming back in with that sparkle spray and just adding some larger, bigger, sort of more statement drops to my background, and just soaking the excess up with a paper towel, and I'll get those dried off again with my heat gun. So that's all dry now, and I'm going to come back in and start rebuilding my layout, trying to remember where I had everything. So I've got my leaves, I've got my buttons, and I've got my mixed media. I will come back in a bit later and add a tiny bit more in the way of mixed media, but for now at least I've got my 3 recipe elements ticked off. So now all's left to do is figure out how I'm going to use my border punches on the page. Like I said, they're not something I use very often, so I was having a think, and my layout is very sort of top right hand corner heavy at the moment, which is what I'd intended, but I decided that I'm going to use my border punches to bring that design down diagonally to the bottom left. So I'm going to use one of the patterned papers from the main kit, this gorgeous one here. It's got the lovely flowers on it and it works really well with the colours in my photo. And I'm going to cut that into strips and then use my border punches on those strips to give the edge a lovely design. And I'm going to layer them in the 2 corners, so sort of diagonally. This border punch, it's got kind of interchangeable parts. It's a little set by American Crafts, so you just pop the middle bit in, and there's 2 kind of little tabs to put either side to help you as a guide. And then you just stamp, but it's really stiff to stamp with these, or punch should I say, because I've never used it, so it takes all of my strength to do this. I was quite tired by the end of it, but I'm just going to go ahead and get all of those strips cut and punched, and then I'm going to layer them in those 2 corners. So I've skipped through most of that punching process for you. It took me a while, and now I'm applying some double-sided tape to the back of the strips, and I'm just applying them down in that corner, kind of layered and staggered, so that I can kind of flick the edges up, turn the edges up and get a bit of texture. I've only done enough to do the top right-hand corner at the moment, just to see how I like it and if I like it, and then I will come back in a bit later on and do that bottom left-hand corner. So like I said, I'm ruffling up the edges there. You can see they've got that lovely kind of open scalloped design, but by ruffling them up, it gives a lot of texture to the page. I'm going to use that same patterned paper as a layer behind my photo as well. I was feeling as if that corner with all the border punched areas was just kind of a bit standalone and didn't really fit with the page at this point. So by using the same patterned paper behind my photo, it kind of extends those colours down a bit and just kind of brings it all together a bit more, I felt. I was contemplating using the B side as well, but it just wasn't quite wide enough. So I've just left it at that one paper, but I just like the way that it ties it all together nicely. And I've added some foam behind my photo to raise it up off my background, just to make it more of a focal point. And then I'm using my edge distresser here to roughly distress the edges of these leaves. I'm not doing it perfectly. I'm probably not getting every last edge. I just wanted a little bit of texture to those leaves. They were looking a little bit flat as they were. So it's all starting to come together now, and I'm happy where things are sitting. I'm also going to bring in some of these gorgeous wood veneer leaves. These are from the main kit, and some of them have got gold foiling on and they're really beautiful. But obviously leaves are on the recipe, so you can never have too many leaves. So I've brought in a couple more, and it also ties in nicely with the kind of gold shimmer I've got going on my background. I need to think about a title as well. I was going to use one of the chipboard pieces from the main kit, but I felt like the colour just wasn't right for the layout. It was kind of like a peachy red colour, and I haven't really got anything else that colour on the page and wasn't looking to bring any more of that colour on. So instead I'm going to use the alphas. I'm going to use both sets of alphas. This blue one here is from the main kit, and then I'm going to pull in the smaller, more blocky alpha from the Pocket Life kit, and I absolutely love these two alphas. They're just so beautiful, and I love the colours of them as well. So I'm going to use one for the word autumn, and then in a minute I'll come back in with the second alpha and add the word days underneath. And I find these colours work much better than that chipboard piece would have worked. So I'm committing now and getting everything stuck down with foam pads. I managed to tear one of my die cuts when I was distressing the edges, so I've just kind of tried to strategically piece that back together by using a foam pad. And I'm desperately trying to find a place for that foiled wood veneer leaf. In the end I decided I wanted to have it sitting on top of the die cut so that you can actually see the foiling. I didn't want to hide it too much. I'm going to do the same thing with the cluster on the bottom left there as well. So I've got my diamond chipboard frames and my two heart buttons stuck down. I've just used quick dry tacky glue for those, and that's held really well. And I'm just rummaging through my stash here, I think, looking for my twine. I've got this really, it's not a textured twine. I really don't know how to describe it. It's almost like rolled up paper twine, but I love the texture of it. So I'm going to thread this through my buttons, and I'm going to have some just threaded through the holes, and others I'm going to tie sort of bows in to bring a bit more texture and interest to the page, and then I can get these two stuck down. I've purposely picked colours that will match my colour scheme, so I've got a kind of dark blue button there with a floral pattern on, and then the other one is like a burnt orange pattern on it, so they work really well with the colour scheme. And this one I'm just going to thread this twine through a couple of times. And this is where I realise I've already stuck the heart buttons down, so I need to poke some holes in, and the needle wasn't quite wide enough, so I've pulled out my paper piercing tool and just poked a couple of holes, and thankfully the twine goes through those really well. Like I said, it's not really textured twine, so that threaded through really easily, and I'm going to do the same thing for both and then tie those off in a bow. So there we go, we're slowly getting there. I'm having a rummage through the kits now, trying to see what other things I can bring in. These puffy stickers are gorgeous. These are probably one of my favourite things in the whole October kit. These are from the Pocket Life kit, I think. I'm adding a few more leaves. They're just really, really gorgeous. You've got leaves, flowers, I think there's a couple of pumpkins on there. Really, really pretty. And I love puffy stickers because they bring a bit of dimension to the page as well. I'm just going through the tag and journal elements die cut pack from the Pocket Life kit. I've just torn one in half there. It's got some brown and orange on it, so that worked really well with my layout. Just added that up to the top of my photo, and then another little card. I just distressed the edges and added that down to the bottom just to bring in a bit more colour around my photo. There was a few gaps that I weren't quite happy with. So I've just used those to fill in those gaps. Then I'm coming back in with that Nouveau sparkle spray and adding some more splatters. I keep doing this, I keep coming back in every now and then with more splatters. Can never have too many splatters, right? So I've left that to dry now. You can see I've also done the punched corner down on the bottom left there. I did that off camera. It took me a long time again, and that one's slightly bigger than the top one, so I've done that off camera. And now I'm going to come back in with those alphas, the second set from the Pocket Life kit, and just add the word days under my title there. This is another one of my favourite things from the October kit. These are little chipboard pieces, again from the Pocket Life kit, I believe. I've just pulled out a couple there, just trying to find a place for them. One says changing seasons, and the other says so grateful for our life together. And I thought those worked really well with my layout. As my photos of my little boy, we went to the zoo, the three of us, and he was just stood on a tree stump posing. It was a really lovely family day out, so I loved those sentiments. And now I'm coming back in with my Nouveau crystal drops and adding almost like enamel dots, using them. I think this is probably the more traditional way to use Nouveau drops rather than scraping them down the layout, but I love to do both with my and I'm adding a little bit of detail to the other two corners using those Nouveau drops, just doing sort of, I think about 10 drops in each corner, just for a bit of interest there. And again, coming in with more splatters. I think I do this with the blue and the orange at this point, just kind of extending that mixed media out a little bit. So I'm purposely adding some of these splatters to make them look a bit larger. And then I remembered that we have enamel dots in the kit. I've almost forgotten about them. They're in the October main kit. And again, I'm just sticking to the colour scheme of kind of blue and kind of that yellowy orange colour. And I think I just add 6 or 7 in total, just in a few clusters around the page. And then I come back to it the next morning and decide I just wanted to add a little bit more mixed media. So I do it off camera, but you might notice in the close-ups here, just above my photo and below my title, I've just scraped a bit more of that Nouveau crystal drop with the plastic spatula. You can just see it there on the screen. I just felt like it needed a little bit more to extend it. And then that was me done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'll pop some links in the description box below for you to the October 2021 kits, and also to the Hip Kit Club group on Facebook. If you're not already a member, do head on and join. And if you're going to join in with our weekly challenge this week, do remember to upload your layout to the correct album to be in with a chance to win. So thank you very much for joining me. I'll leave you with the rest of the close-ups, and I'll see you next time.